Hello, everyone. In today's video, we're going to go over multi-layer invisible logic as well as how to utilize calculations within invisible logic in your Gavel accounts. So this is really fun because I'm actually going to use an example that is not law related. So even though many people in my audience are lawyers, I thought it'd be fun to show the versatility of this tool by giving you a non-legal example, and also one that doesn't use a output document as many people see Gavel as a document automation tool, which it is, and that's the core product. There's also a way to create workflows that don't involve a document at all that are still valuable and useful. So in this example, I kind of borrowed from the Beachbody On Demand Ultimate Portion Fix PDF. So you can just Google that here and see that here. And this is a plan that I've used many times before in my own personal life where I was able to lose weight or maintain my weight, depending on what my goals were at the time. And this was created by Autumn Calabrese. And it's basically a portion fix control program that helps you understand based on your calorie targets whether you should be eating a certain number of what she calls containers that look like this, where each of them correlate to a different color, and that color relates to vegetables or some other food group. So, for example, green has to do with vegetables, red is protein, yellows are carbs, and so on and so forth. Now, there's an aspect to this program that requires you to do a little bit of math first. So it can be a little bit confusing if you are just approaching this for the first time and you don't really understand how these calculations work. So I thought it'd be useful to take that information and take the logic from it and the base real core of it and kind of just come with an application that somebody can just answer a few questions and get their answer right away. So, what this looks like on paper is that they have some important tips, and these are part of the rules that will be important for us for creating this particular app. And then they have calculations. So, you would take your current weight, times it by 11, that equals your caloric baseline. Then you take your caloric baseline, you minus 400, and that's your calorie target. But if you are working out and it's moderately challenging, then you do this one. But if you're working out and it's extremely challenging, then you use this calculation. So I just thought it would be easier to help somebody figure out which plan they're in if I just created this app. So that's the problem that we're trying to solve here. And that's the source that we're kind of pulling from in order to figure out which questions we need to ask. So the resulting app that I created looks like this. And I'll show you also how I was able to change the color of the background and the font and the kind of buttons and things like that. So in this one, what we're asking is, are you looking to maintain your current weight or lose weight? So we'd say, let's say we want to lose weight. We need to also answer whether we'll be working out while we're doing this or not. So let's say we want to lose weight and we're going to be working out, and we're going to have that be at an extremely challenging level. So we would put in our current weight. Let's say that somebody is 170 and we say continue. It's going to automatically tell them that their calorie target is 1720, which puts us in portion plan B, where portion plan B includes 4 green vegetables, 3 purple, 4 red, 3 yellow, 1 blue, 1 orange, and 4 gray. So that relates to over here where you can see that portion plan B includes these things, and they were placed in this because they fit within the calorie bracket of 1500 and 1799 because theirs is 1720. So if we continue to the end, we can see that it just says good luck. So that's how this app works. Let's go through a little bit of how I built it and why I built it in this particular way. So, if we look at the actual rules that tell us how to calculate somebody's calorie target, which is the most important number because the calorie target tells us which plan they need to use for their, if they're doing it for 21 days, if they're using it for 30 days or whatever else, then they need to know how many of each container they need to eat per day. And it depends on where they fall for their calorie target within this range. So somebody would be eating 4 greens, 2 purples, 4 reds, 2 yellows, etc. if they fall between 1200 calories and 1499 calories as their calorie target. So that's kind of the end result we want to get, is where do they fall within this range based on their calorie target numbers that they've calculated in these preceding steps. Now, there's a couple of important rules to keep in mind when we're doing this. And those rules start on page 40. So if we go to page 40, we can see that in order to find the right plan, we need to figure out the calorie target using our current weight to find our caloric baseline. So here are some important tips. So they say if your calorie target is less than 1200, then you need to round up to 1200. So if somebody is quite light already and we need to make sure that they have at least 1200 calories. Okay. So that's one rule we actually need to remember. Another rule we need to remember is that if somebody's calorie target is more than 2800, then we need to round that down to 2800. If we want to maintain weight and we are working out, then we need to stick with our maintenance calories in step 2 and skip step 3 on pages 42 and 43. So what they're referring to here is if somebody's working out but they want to maintain, then their maintenance calories is calculated here. If they wanted to lose weight, then they need to have another step where they subtract 750. So this will be important as well. So the other rule here is if you want to maintain weight and you are not working out, stick with your caloric baseline on page 41. So what they're saying here is if you're not working out and you'd like to maintain, then you use this number instead of a deficit, which is the calorie target number. So these are actually really important rules for creating an app like this one, because we need to take into consideration the rounding up and rounding down. We need to take into consideration the fact that they're splitting this up into maintain versus losing weight. So these are the kind of differences that we want to take note of as we're trying to design our app. So when we actually understand that, the first thing we can do is ask somebody whether they're trying to maintain weight or if they're trying to lose weight. You'll see next that the next question is whether they're working out or not. So we can see this distinction in these two questions here, which is, are you trying to maintain or are you trying to lose? And are you working out or are you not working out? Because these are the things that are determining which calculation applies to you. And you'll see that there's another question, which is, if you are working out, are your workouts moderately challenging or extremely challenging? So if they say yes to working out, then we need to ask another question. We can also see that we need to start with their current weight, and then everything else is just a calculation based off of that from the get-go. So we actually really just need to ask a couple of questions. Are you looking to maintain or lose? Will you be working out? And if so, will you be working out at a moderately challenging or extremely challenging pace, and what's your current weight? With that information, we're going to be able to put in that we have everything else actually can be calculated behind the scenes without the person having to do anything else. And it's just going to tell them what their calorie target is and which portion plan they should be using. So in that case, when I was creating this, I just said, okay, let's break this up and do a few tricks behind the scenes that the end user doesn't actually need to see. And so we have a little welcome message. I just called it determine your calorie target and give it a section name of your information. I just said something like, with an instruction block, welcome. This ultimate portion fix calculator is designed to help you quickly and easily calculate your calorie target and portion plan when you are first starting the ultimate portion fix by Autumn Calabrese of Beachbody. This app is not affiliated with Beachbody or Autumn and was built by Brittany Hernandez using Gavel to help people more easily get started with the program. And in this case, I'm just showing you to teach you how to use multi-layer invisible logic as well as do calculations within invisible logic as well. So for the first question, I made this a single select question, but this could have been a drop down. And so it doesn't matter between these two. For me, when I think about which one to use, if they have the same function, meaning, if I was going to use single select versus drop down, is the user experience. So when someone uses a drop down, it's fine. The only thing for me personally is that I like the person to be able to just see the answers right away and quickly choose them rather than having to click twice, because they'd have to click on the drop down in order to select something and then see the options. So that's just my personal preference, but it can be useful if you have many choices, and it would be less convenient to have a long list, let's say for states or countries or something like that. So in this case, we just have two, and you could have asked a yes no question instead, which would have been something like, are you looking to lose weight? But in this case, I wanted to distinguish between maintain and lose. So that's something to consider for yourself as well if you're trying to recreate this, is how you would like to do this, whether you want it to be yes no, single select, or drop down. Okay, so in this one, I just said maintain or lose as a variable name, and I asked, are you looking to maintain your current weight or lose weight? So here we have maintain and lose as our options. Next, I have a yes no question, which is asking, are you going to be working out? And the reason is, remember, we're asking these because we have that you want to maintain or lose, and whether you're working out, and if you're working out, we're distinguishing between moderate and extreme on the challenging scale. So I've asked, are you looking to maintain your current weight or lose it? Having a single select with the two options, maintain weight or lose weight, which look like this. Then I have, will you be working out while doing the ultimate portion fix? Yes or no. So I didn't make this one a single select where it's like, I will be working out, I will not be working out. This one's just, will you be working out? Yes or no. If they say yes, I've made it to where they have an additional question. So this utilizes question logic. So I've said that I want this question to show, which is a single select for moderately challenging and extremely challenging, to distinguish between these two calculations. So I have a single select that just asks them, are you going to be working out? And then, sorry, I have a yes, no, and then I have the single select, which is distinguishing between moderately or extremely challenging. And then I just have some logic that says, show this question if working out yes or no is yes. So otherwise it will be hidden. So that's why we can see it when they say yes, but not when they say no. So next I have it to where I have the last question, which is, what is your current weight? So this is a number question. And this is going to be important because we're going to use that current weight in a lot of calculations in invisible logic, and it will allow us to utilize some different calculations and things like that. So that's going to be up next. So far, so good. We've asked the main questions that we need in order to then go into the background and do a bunch of calculations that the end user doesn't actually need to see. They just need to answer these couple of questions. So in the background, we have 3 levels of invisible logic. The first one is going to have to do with calculations, and this is going to be adding a couple of new it's going to be adding a couple of new variables that the end user won't see right away, and then some invisible logic here, as well as some multi-layer logic on these next 2 pages. But let's start where we are with these calculations. So with this one, we can see from this page, if we start from, let's say, the if you're not working out, that we need in all of these instances a caloric baseline. And we can also see that in every instance no matter whether somebody's working out, if they're trying to maintain or whatever else, that the caloric baseline is the current weight times 11. And that's always going to be our caloric baseline, whether we're here, whether we're working out moderately, whether we're working out extremely hard, etc. So then we can say that caloric baseline, which is a number, is the current weight in all cases times 11. So we have a number variable called caloric baseline that equals current weight times 11. So if I was going to add one, I would say number, I would give it a variable name. Let's just call it anything. Then I would say here, I would look for my variable for current weight. I would say I would say operation, multiply. Then I would say type number and then put in the number 11 and add it. So I didn't add that first variable, so I need to say add and then the operation and then number 11. So that's how how I was able to get this particular um, variable to equal the value of whatever they put in as their current weight multiplied by 11. So you can do the same if you're following along as well. Next, I just want to have a number variable called calorie target so that when we do each of these things, I can refer to that calorie target in each case. Now, remember, if somebody is trying to maintain their weight and they're not working out, then they need to just have the caloric baseline equal their calorie target. Meaning, now that we have the caloric baseline equal current weight times 11, which is their caloric baseline from here, their calorie target, if they're trying to maintain and working out is no, then their target is going to be that caloric baseline. So that's how we're kind of having layers of invisible logic of creating a variable that equals a certain thing, having another variable that we're going to then refer to in our logic here. And then in our next one, we're referring these two, the maintenance calories moderate and the maintenance calories extreme, from our pages within here, which are saying that if you're working out at a moderate level, then you're going to say current weight times 11 equals calorie baseline. Then you're going to take that and add 400 to equal your maintenance calories for the moderate level. And then if you're working out at an extremely challenging level, instead of 400, you're going to actually add 600 for your maintenance calories. So here I have maintenance calories moderate and maintenance calories extreme, where I have the caloric baseline that we created here plus 400. So that would be the same process that we went through in the previous example, where I have a variable. In this case, I'm saying I'm going to then take the caloric baseline rather than the current weight and add that. Then I'm going to have the operation of adding or addition. And then I'm going to have a number, which is 400. So that's how you would calculate that there. And even take something that you just created here in order to use it here. So you can use something that's still on the same page, which is important as well. So now we're starting to build up our variables and we're starting to build up each of our different pieces. So we have our caloric baseline figured out and we have our maintenance calories figured out. And then we have our calorie target that we still need to do, which is actually going to come up on the add invisible logic side here. So here we have a couple of our new variables, and then we are going to put them in a lot of different configurations now based on what we've understood from the rules. So what the rules have said is that if the person is trying to maintain weight, so if maintain or lose is maintain, and working out yes or no is no, meaning if they want to maintain weight and they're not working out, then calorie target equals caloric baseline, because they're saying don't go to this step. Actually, your calorie target will be your baseline in that circumstance. But otherwise, if maintain or lose is lose, and working out yes or no is no, then what we're going to do is this calculation here. So they're not working out, but they don't want to maintain, they want to lose weight, then they're going to go into this idea of adding a little bit of a caloric deficit by taking the caloric baseline and subtracting 400 as their calorie target. So that's what we do here. So if maintain or lose is lose, and working out yes or no is no, then calorie target equals caloric baseline minus 400, as we have seen here. Otherwise, if maintain or lose is maintain, and working out yes or no is yes, and working out how challenging is moderately challenging, then we've seen from this instruction under important tips for if you want to maintain and you're working out and you are working out at a moderate level, then you just want to stay here and not go to this step. So we have maintenance calories moderate as our output for calorie target, where we've calculated that as caloric baseline plus 400. So if we go down, we can say that our next one would be if they want to maintain and they're working out, but now at an extremely challenging level, then the calorie target will be the maintenance calories extreme, where we're adding 600 instead of minusing 500 at the end, and also instead of adding 400 here. So we can see that we did that calculation when we created that variable by adding 600 calories. So as we move down, what we can see is that now we're going into if maintain or lose is now they want to lose weight, and working out yes or no is yes, and working out how challenging is moderate. Then what we need to do is follow the instructions for the moderately challenging, and that's going to take the maintenance calories and subtract 750 as the calorie target. So we have calorie target equals maintenance calories moderate minus 750. So we took this number and we subtracted 750, and that equals our calorie target. So you go through and you do the same thing with the other options, which is here maintain or lose is lose, working out yes or no is yes, and how challenging is extremely challenging, where the calorie target will equal the maintenance calories extreme minus 750 here. So if you were going to add another one, you'd say else if maintain or lose is maintain, and working out yes or no is no, and working out how well you wouldn't have that step in this particular case, but let's say it's yes, and then how challenging is extremely, then calorie target equals, and then you'd say something like whatever it is, maintain extreme plus, or I think in this case it's like minus 750. So you do something like this. And in this case, it should be lose. But you can see how this process goes. So if you wanted to get rid of these, you can just say delete. So that is how that first layer or multiple layers of this first part works, is that we would want to have each of the possible outcomes accounted for so that everything has a calorie target at the end of the day. The next level of this multi-layer invisible logic and calculations exercise would be this piece around rounding up or rounding down. So in our case here, it told us that now that you know the calorie target, if your calorie target is less than 1200, then you need to round up to 1200. But if your calorie target is more than 2,800, then you need to round down, so that can be fit within the options that are shown here. So in our case, we need to add some invisible logic that says if your calorie target is less than or equal to 12, or if it's just less than 1200, the number 1200, then the calorie target needs to equal 1200. So if it's anything under the 1200 that it told us, then we need to go up to 1200. But if the calorie target is more than 2,800, then we need the calorie target to equal exactly 2,800. So that's accounting for these two rules. And we've already accounted for these two rules. We've already gone through these calculations. We just need to tidy things up a little bit now and help people find their plan. So that's how we're able to do that one. If we wanted to, I'll show you kind of how to do this. So I would say if calorie target is less than the number 1200, then calorie target equals the number 1200, like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these ones off so I don't get mixed up. And we're good to go. So I didn't have to create any new variables for this particular section. And the last invisible logic section we're going to do is the outcome we want, which is your plan. So we want to say your plan is text, not a number, because this is going to be, we're saying like portion plan A, portion plan B, portion plan C, etc., etc. So in this case, what we need to do is just create a new variable called your plan and add some invisible logic around it. And in this case, what we're saying is we need you to fit within one of these brackets of ranges of calories in order to qualify for each of these different plans. So what we need is if you're greater than or equal to 1200, but also less than or equal to 1499, then your portion plan will be A. But if you're between 1500 and 1799, then you're going to be portion plan B, and so on and so forth for each of these plans. So we need to make a new section of invisible logic for each of those to make it to where your plan equals some value. So in our case here, we say if your calorie target, now that we've made it rounded up or rounded down and to account for any case where it's less than 1200 or more than 2800, we can say if calorie target is greater than or equal to 1200 and your calorie target is less than or equal to 1499, so this range here, then your plan, the variable we created in this section, is going to equal text portion plan A. I just typed it in like this and then just said add. So that's how you would do that. Then you'd say if otherwise, if calorie target is greater than or equal to 1500, and so I just made an add here, calorie target is less than or equal to 1799, then your plan is going to be portion plan B. And then you just do the same process for C, D, E, and F, where calorie target is greater than or equal to this, but less than or equal to that, then your plan is going to equal this thing. So if you wanted to see how that goes, we'd say if calorie target is let's see, in this case, it's greater than or equal to some value. So this just is going to be a number, let's say 1200. And calorie target is going to be less than or equal to a number that is 1499. Then your plan equals portion plan A. Add. So that's how that would work. So I'm just going to take these off so I don't get mixed up. And then we have one step left, which is because this is invisible logic, so nobody can see it except for you. You need to actually use this logic somewhere to show them what their plan is. So I had to get a little bit creative here because I want to be able to attach logic to that output. So it's less useful for me to put their information just inside of a instruction block because the instruction block doesn't have anything that I can kind of go off of from a logic perspective for different question types. So what I decided to do in this case is actually have a text question type that tells them their calorie target here. So I used the $, curly bracket, variable, and curly bracket configuration here to pull that information from behind the scenes for the calorie target variable that we created in invisible logic. So I'm just saying I want you to take whatever that value is and I want you to put it here. So based on your answers, your calorie target is, in this case, example 1595. This puts you in, and then I have it show portion plan B as the default answer. So you can use variables as a default answer here. So in our case, I'm pulling from which plan, which is your plan, which has all of this invisible logic attached to it, that has the text output of portion plan A, B, C, D, E, and F. So that's how we're able to then attach logic to this bottom section, which tells us plan B, plan A, plan C, and what's included in those. So for example, I have instruction blocks that have logic attached to them that say, show this if your plan selected is portion plan A. So I just typed that in. And in this section, I just gave some kind of information about how many of each container the person needs to eat per day. So I just did that same thing for all the different plans. So I just said portion plan F includes these different things. Show this one if your plan selected is portion plan F. So I just said add question, instruction, and then I just took this and copied it into here. And then I just said, let's just use the A1 for example. And I went over here and I said, okay, they need 4 greens, they need 2 purple, they need 4 red, etc., etc. So that's how I did that. And then I would just go up here and say show if, and then your plan selected is portion plan A, and just make sure that you type this in exactly as the default answer would appear, how you did this in Invisible Logic. And you can see that if I change, then this will change as well. Because that's how the Invisible Logic in the backend is configured. So that is how I was able to create this one. And as a little bonus tip for you, I'm going to show you how I was able to style this with all of the different colors. Because as you know, a default workflow for Gavel doesn't have these branded colors that I have here. So in a regular default workflow, you have a header and you have a particular color scheme, you have particular fonts and certain rounded edges and the colors of the arrows and so on and so forth. However, my friend Ash Singh created something called the Gavel Custom CSS Generator, which is awesome. And you can sign up for this now. And what you can do is you can create a new CSS module. You can just click on it like this, and it will go through and just guide you through how to just toggle things on or off like this. So let's say you don't want a login to appear, or you don't want the whole header to appear. The nav styles, you can change this is referring to this section here. You can change the font family just quickly and easily like this. And at the end of the day, you can deploy this and give it a name and all of that. And once you do, you'll be able to then take the link that you've created. I don't know, we can just, choose whatever we want from here and change all of this stuff. And you can kind of preview each of these ones and see even the preview page, you can change that as well. You can change all of these different pieces. This is the final view page style. So if we wanted to make this rubato, that changed that section here. We can change all of that stuff. So if you wanted to also change like the instruction block, so we can make it to where the instruction and kickout styles have rubato as well. You can see that that's changed. This is going to be more on the page heading styles. So if we wanted to change this, we could do so here. So you can see how this is all changing in real time. You just give it a name. I'm just going to call this test. I'll say deploy. It's going to save everything. And then when we are done with that process, we can come over here, find our test here, and then just copy it on our clipboard, and then take that and put that in our settings where we just say change style with custom CSS and drop that link into here. Give it a save. I'm not going to use that test one. I'm going to keep it as this, but you would be able to see that new style come through. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. But what's really great about this is that since there's the ability to go in and edit something, you don't only get one shot at this. You can make one and then you can edit that one, and everywhere that link is, it's going to automatically update the styles for you. So that is super powerful. So I think that is definitely worth taking a look at if you want to be able to quickly and easily create custom CSS for your workflows within Gavel. This tool is also currently in open beta, so if you have any feedback, you can reach out to Ash in the Gavel Slack community, and he can help you and kind of go through and make any edits and changes that you suggest. So that is how I was able to create an app and workflow using multi-layer invisible logic, using some kind of a lot of back end calculations and how you can just see the versatility of Gavel as a tool in general, which is that you don't always have to have a document and it doesn't always have to be only legal related. You can make a very useful and quick app that you could then sell to people or offer for free, that you could kind of create from any rule based language, which I think is really, really powerful. And in this case, I use the example of Ultimate Portion Fix, which is around a portion diet that is from Beachbody and Autumn Calabrese. So I hope this was useful, and I will see you all in the next video.